Lust is not here to shame you. It is here to show you something about yourself. Every time you feel that pull, that hunger, that restlessness, it is existence knocking at your door saying, look deeper. But instead you hide, you pray, you fight. You never listen. What if lust is not a curse, but a mirror reflecting the love you have forgotten? Today I will show you that lust is not your downfall. It is your doorway. You will see that the very energy you have called sin can become your path to freedom. For lifetimes, humanity has tried to escape desire through religion, through guilt, through control. Yet, the fire keeps burning within. I will teach you how to face that fire without fear, how to see lust not as a temptation to resist, but as a lesson to learn. When you understand lust, it becomes love. When you condemn it, it becomes poison. You have been conditioned to feel ashamed of your own longing. The world has taught you to divide your spirit from your body, to call one holy and the other dirty. This division is the real disease. That is why people live in conflict, torn between prayer and passion, between the temple and the bed. I do not divide them. I say to you, both belong to the same sky. The one who understands lust can pray more deeply than any saint. The one who transforms it knows what true purity means. In this message, I will take you deep into the nature of lust, not as morality defines it, but as reality reveals it. We will explore why you feel this hunger, why you fear it, and why your resistance only feeds it. I will show you how the same energy that becomes lust can become love, meditation, even enlightenment. There is a secret hidden in your desire, and once you see it, you will never be the same again. Stay with me till the end, because what begins as fire may end as light. You've been told all your life that lust is dangerous, something to control, to hide, to feel guilty about. You've been told that if you want to be pure, you must fight against this fire inside you. But here's what almost no one ever realizes. The moment you start fighting with your own energy, you've already lost. Because how can you win a war against yourself? What you call lust is not against you, it is part of you. It's not your enemy, it's your misunderstood friend. When you feel lust, what's really happening? Life itself is whispering through you. The same life that moves in the trees, that opens the petals of a flower, that makes the birds sing at dawn. Lust is simply the pulse of existence saying you are alive. But religion came in and poisoned it. They told you that this natural rhythm was sin. They made you ashamed of the very force that created you. So you split yourself into body against soul, heaven against earth, and you begin to live divided. That division is the root of all misery. A man who is divided can never be whole, never be peaceful. He's constantly at war, pulling in opposite directions. One part of him wants to pray, the other part wants to touch. One part wants to reach the divine, the other part wants to embrace life. And between these two, his being is torn. I once knew a monk who had not looked at a woman for 20 years. He told me proudly, I have conquered desire. But every night his dreams were filled with women. In his waking life he was holy. In his sleep he was haunted. What he tried to kill followed him into his unconscious. And this is what repression does. It drives lust underground where it grows stronger, darker, and more dangerous. Repression is like trying to hold a river with your hands. The more you squeeze, the faster it escapes. The energy doesn't disappear. It only finds new twisted ways to express itself. That's why those who condemn sex the loudest often end up obsessed with it. That's why guilt and perversion walk hand in hand. You can't destroy life. You can only misunderstand it. The lotus grows from the mud. But you don't curse the mud. You honor it. Because without it there would be no flower. In the same way, the sacred grows from the soil of the sensual. The same energy that becomes lust can, when understood, become love, and when refined further, it becomes prayer. But the beginning is always in the mud. So don't be afraid of your fire. Learn to know it. Don't try to silence it. Listen to it. Lust becomes dangerous only when you fight it or follow it blindly. But if you can just watch it, without judgment, without indulgence, something miraculous happens. Its poison turns into perfume. The same energy that once made you restless will begin to make you radiant. And when you see this clearly, something inside you relaxes for the first time. You stop apologizing for being human. You stop trying to escape your own nature. You start to live in harmony with the whole, and that's where the transformation begins. You see, the moment you stop calling it evil, you can finally start to hear what lust has been trying to teach you all along. It's not a sin to be burned by desire. It's a sin to stay asleep inside it. So, let's go deeper now. What is lust really trying to show you? What is the hidden message behind that fire? Here's something most people completely miss. Lust isn't calling you toward another body. It's calling you back into your own being. The world has taught you to chase it outward, to believe that fulfillment lies in someone else's eyes, someone else's touch, someone else's approval. But that longing, that itch that seems to point toward another person, is actually existence trying to bring you home. It is your own life force knocking from within saying, "Wake up. There is something inside you that wants to be seen." Every time you feel desire, you are being shown a mirror. And in that mirror, what you see isn't the other. It's yourself reflected in the fire of longing. When you feel lust, your whole being trembles with energy. It feels like hunger, but it's not for food. It feels like thirst, but it's not for water. It's a deep, nameless calling to return to wholeness. Yet instead of listening, we chase the nearest object, a face, a form, a fantasy. And we forget that the object is only a symbol, a small spark that has awakened the great fire within us. That's why lust never satisfies. It only repeats. You meet one person, then another and another, and still the hunger remains. You can satisfy the body for a moment, but the soul stays empty because what you truly desire is not pleasure. It is peace. Have you ever noticed how after the moment of passion a strange silence follows? For an instant your mind disappears. Time stops. There is no you, no other, only being. That's why the moment feels so sacred, so intoxicating. But then the mind returns and the search begins again. You think you want another body, another experience. But what you are really craving is that silence, that moment when the walls fall away, and you are simply present. Lust is the body's way of reminding you what presence feels like. The object is never the goal. The goal is that glimpse of wholeness. The man who runs after women or the woman who chases men, both are not searching for bodies. They are searching for union. They may not know it, but what they want is to be complete. Lust is the doorway through which life invites you to discover that completeness not in another, but within yourself. Once I told a disciple, when you are thirsty, you think you want water, but what you really want is the end of thirst. Water is only the path. The destination is peace. The same is true with lust. The body wants contact, but the soul wants union. The mistake is to confuse the two. That's why lovers are so restless. They keep reaching for each other. Yet the distance never disappears because it is an inner distance. Until you bridge that within yourself, no lover can fill it for you. Lust is not a curse. It's a compass. It points toward the direction of your forgotten being. But you must look where it points, not where it shines. Imagine a moth drawn to a flame. It mistakes light for possession, and so it burns itself. But the wise one, the seeker, learns to see the flame without being consumed. He lets the fire reveal his reflection, not destroy it. Try this. The next time desire rises in you, don't rush to satisfy it and don't rush to condemn it. Just watch. Feel the energy move through your body. Feel the heat, the pulse, the restlessness. Don't give it a name. Don't call it lust. Don't call it love. Just witness it. If you can remain present without acting or judging, you'll notice something subtle. The energy begins to transform. It turns from tension into tenderness, from hunger into harmony. What you once called lust becomes meditation. The miracle is that the same energy that drives you outward can also take you inward. When you chase it blindly, you remain a beggar. When you watch it consciously, you become a master. Lust in its purest form is life's invitation to awaken. It's not here to enslave you. It's here to show you that you are already free. And once you see lust as a message, not a mistake, something profound begins to happen. The fear disappears. The shame disappears. You start to move with a new grace, because now even your desires become part of your awakening. You begin to see that every emotion, every sensation, every breath is sacred when touched by awareness. So now we've seen what desire is trying to tell you. But awareness must grow, because this same energy that can awaken you can also destroy you if you remain asleep. It's like fire. It can warm your home or it can burn it down. Let's explore this more deeply now. The two paths that this energy can take downward into craving or upward into love. What I'm about to share might seem strange at first, because the same energy that can make a man blind with desire can also make him radiant with compassion. The difference lies in the direction downward or upward. It's not about good or bad, right or wrong. It's about awareness. When you are asleep, your energy moves downward toward indulgence, toward craving, toward the endless repetition of the same hunger. But when you awaken, that same energy begins to rise, and lust slowly transforms into love, and love, if it is allowed to flower, becomes prayer. Let's first look at what happens when awareness is absent. What I call the downward flow. When you are unconscious, lust becomes mechanical. You seek satisfaction but find only emptiness. Pleasure fades before you can even taste it fully, and the mind immediately demands more. This is how addiction begins. Not to drugs or drink, but to desire itself. You start living in a loop, always reaching, never arriving. The more you consume, the less alive you feel, because each act without awareness drains you of vitality. Lust without love becomes exhaustion, a kind of inner poverty. I've watched people live like this, running from one relationship to another, from one thrill to the next. They say they want love, but what they truly seek is escape. They are not in love with another person. They're in love with the distraction, the rush, the brief illusion of aliveness that fades as quickly as it comes. They live like the man drinking salt water. The more he drinks, the thirstier he becomes. Lust promises satisfaction, but delivers only a deeper longing. And what does society do? It feeds both extremes. On one hand, it tells you to indulge, to follow every desire. On the other hand, religion tells you to repress, to deny, to crucify your instincts. Both paths are blind. Both come from ignorance. Whether you drown in indulgence or dry up in repression, you remain unconscious. You cannot fight darkness with darkness. You can only light a lamp. The fire of lust is that lamp when you understand it. Without awareness, it burns. With awareness, it gives light. The energy itself is innocent. It takes the shape you give it. When you pour your awareness into it, it begins to transform. It becomes soft, compassionate, creative. The same fire that once made you restless becomes the warmth that heals others. But remember, transformation doesn't happen by fighting lust. It happens by watching it. The moment you begin to observe your desire, you are no longer a slave to it. You can feel it rising in your body, and yet a distance appears. You are the watcher, not the wave. And when awareness enters, something extraordinary begins. The same energy that used to pull you downward begins to rise. That's the second path, the upward flow. When lust becomes conscious, it changes its fragrance. The hunger for another becomes a celebration of being. You begin to see that love is lust purified by awareness. The energy is the same, only its direction has changed. In lust, you use the other as an object. In love, you meet them as a mirror. Lust says, what can I get? Love says, what can I give? Lust takes, love shares, lust consumes, love creates. In true love, you no longer need the other to fill your emptiness because you are overflowing. You don't fall in love, you rise in love. And when love matures, it becomes prayer. Then even the presence of another is not necessary. You begin to feel a deep intimacy with existence itself. You look at a tree and it moves you. You watch the sky and tears come. The longing that once bound you to one person now opens you to the whole. Kabir once said, "The river that flows into the ocean becomes the ocean." When lust flows through awareness, it too becomes something vast and sacred. You can still touch, still feel, still celebrate the body, but now you do it with reverence, not hunger. It's like the flame of a candle. When guarded, it gives light to all around. When left wild, it burns the house. Lust without consciousness destroys, but lust touched by awareness illuminates. This transformation is not theoretical, it is experiential. You can taste it the moment you stop running from your own energy. When you sit with it, breathe with it, and let it move through you without grasping or guilt, you'll notice it starts to rise like a flame stretching upward. It passes through the heart, becomes tenderness, compassion, and ultimately stillness. Now the question arises, how do we make this transformation constant? How can lust become love and love become prayer in our daily life? The answer lies in one thing, only awareness. That's the alchemy of consciousness. So let's explore that deeper. How to transform this fire into light. How to turn every moment of desire into meditation. This next part changed everything for me. Because once you understand the secret of awareness, you realize that there is no need to fight with anything. Not even lust. The whole struggle between repression and indulgence disappears because both belong to the unconscious mind. Awareness is a third force. It neither fights nor follows. It simply watches. And in that watchfulness, energy begins to move differently. When you are aware, you can feel desire rising in your body like a wave. You can feel its heat, its pull, its movement, but you remain still like the vast ocean beneath that wave. The moment you watch it without judgment, the energy itself becomes luminous. The fire that once blinded you begins to light your way. Meditation doesn't kill energy, it redirects it. People think spirituality means to turn cold, to become detached, to kill the passions. That's not meditation, that's mutilation. Meditation means to let everything exist in its fullness and yet remain centered in the midst of it. When you bring awareness to any emotion, anger, fear, lust, desire, it begins to lose its heaviness. The cloud dissolves and the sun that was always behind it begins to shine. That's what I mean when I say transforming fire into light. The transformation is not through discipline, but through understanding. When you understand something totally, it ceases to be what it was. It becomes part of your freedom. Watch lust without judgment, and you'll see it has a rhythm, a rise, a peak, a fall. Every wave of desire has a beginning, a middle, and an end. It's only because you've never allowed it to complete that it repeats endlessly. You get caught in the beginning, the thrill, the spark, the anticipation. And before it can dissolve naturally, you interfere, You either suppress it or you satisfy it too quickly, and the circle remains incomplete. That's why desire keeps coming back. It has never finished its course. Awareness allows it to complete. When you observe without doing anything, without interfering, the energy peaks and then dissolves into silence. And in that silence there is bliss. Not the bliss of satisfaction, but the bliss of freedom. It's like watching smoke clear from a mirror. The mirror was always pure, but you never saw your reflection because of the haze. Lust is that smoke. Awareness is the breath that clears it away. And when the smoke vanishes, what remains is clarity, the reflection of your own being. You realize that nothing was ever wrong with you. Only your vision was clouded. The alchemy of awareness is not a doing, it's a seeing. When you are aware, transformation happens on its own. Just as fire turns cold metal into molten gold, the blacksmith doesn't fight with the metal. He lets the fire do its work. In the same way, when you place your energy into the fire of awareness, it softens, melts, reshapes itself. The raw iron of lust becomes the shining gold of love. And the beauty of this process is that nothing is lost, only refined. But awareness must be total. Partial awareness is still sleep. You can't just be aware in meditation and then fall back into forgetfulness in life. Awareness must become your fragrance in your walk, in your speech, in your touch. Then even ordinary acts become sacred. Eating, walking, breathing, everything becomes a form of prayer. Awareness turns the mundane into the miraculous. People ask me, "Oh, what do I do when desire arises?" And I say, don't do anything. Just see it. Don't label it as good or bad. Don't push it away or chase it. Sit silently with it. Let it move through you like a breeze moves. Through trees it comes. It stirs the leaves and it passes. You are not the breeze. You are the space through which it moves. The moment you remember this, desire loses its grip. And once you can look at lust without fear, you can also look at love without attachment. Then even meditation becomes effortless, because meditation is nothing but total awareness of all that is. You stop choosing this is divine, that is dirty, this is good, that is bad. You begin to see that everything is one energy dancing in different forms. And that vision is liberation. But when that vision dawns, something even more beautiful starts to happen. A new innocence begins to bloom inside you. You become childlike again, free, playful, spontaneous. The mind that was heavy with guilt and control becomes light as air. Let's go into that now. What happens when lust and love have both been understood? When awareness has purified all fire into light, what remains is innocence, pure and shining like the morning sun. When love has flowered fully, and awareness has burned away all confusion, what remains is a quiet innocence, something so pure, so simple that the mind cannot understand it. Only the heart can feel it. In this innocence, you no longer divide yourself between body and soul, between sacred and profane, between God and life. You begin to see that everything is divine. The touch of a hand, the scent of the earth after rain, the warmth of the sun on your face, all of it becomes prayer. Nothing is outside holiness anymore, because there is no longer a division inside you. You have come home. Innocence is not ignorance. It is clarity without conflict. It is the state of a child, but with the depth of a sage. The child is innocent because he does not know. The sage is innocent because he knows and yet has dropped the burden of knowledge. This is the flowering that happens when lust transforms into love and love transforms into awareness. You are reborn, fresh, untouched, alive in every moment. You can look at beauty without wanting to possess it. You can touch without any motive. You can love without fear of losing. In innocence there is no agenda, no anxiety, no reaching, only a gentle overflowing. A man or a woman who has reached this point lives in the world, but is not of it. They move through life like a breeze, moves through the forest, touching everything, holding nothing. They give without effort, because giving has become their nature. Their love is like the fragrance of a rose. It gives simply because it exists. The rose doesn't decide whom to bless with its scent. It gives to all who pass by to the scent, and to the sinner alike. In the same way, one who has gone beyond lust and love shares their being with all, without preference or possession. When lust disappears, guilt disappears. When love blossoms, fear disappears. When innocence dawns, even the self disappears. There is only life breathing, moving, existing through you. You are no longer the door. You are the dance itself. This is freedom. Not the freedom to choose, but the freedom from choice, from confusion, from all inner division. You are so at ease that even death becomes just another movement in the dance. Have you ever seen a child watching the rain? He's not thinking of shelter, not calculating the weather. He simply opens his hands, his mouth, his eyes, and lets the sky fall upon him. That is innocence. When you can live like that again, open, unprotected, in total trust, you have returned to your original nature. That is enlightenment. You don't have to become holy. You only have to become whole. And when you are whole, holiness radiates through every gesture. The body becomes a temple, not because you decorate it with purity, because you no longer see it as separate from the divine. The breath that enters you is God's breath. The heartbeat that pulses within you is God's rhythm. You can no longer tell where you end and existence begins, because there is no border left to defend. You have surrendered completely, and that surrender is your victory. Freedom is not found by rising above desire. It is found by understanding it so deeply that desire becomes transparent, invisible. You see through it, and beyond it is peace. You are free because there is no one left to fight. The ego that used to battle lust, that used to measure purity, that used to crave enlightenment, that too dissolves into silence. And in that silence a fragrance spreads, the fragrance of innocence, of pure being, of unconditioned joy. So the circle completes. Lust was never your enemy. It was your teacher, your path, your doorway into consciousness. It led you into the fire so that you could find the light hidden inside it. When you stop running from lust and start listening to its message, you discover that it was love in disguise. And when love matures into awareness, it reveals the innocence that was always waiting beneath it all. Now you can finally rest, not in suppression, not in indulgence, but in understanding. You see the divine everywhere, in every form, in every breath, in every heartbeat. Lust brought you here. Love showed you the way. Awareness made you whole. And innocence is the fragrance that remains when the fire has turned completely into light. So now, my beloved ones, we come to the end of this journey. Yet it is not an ending. It is the beginning of a new kind of sea. You came here believing lust was your prison, your enemy, your shame. And now you know it was never against you. It was your teacher in disguise, knocking at the door of your consciousness, asking to be understood, not resisted. What you've called sin was only life disguised as longing. What you've called impurity was just existence, trying to remind you that you are still alive, that the flame within you still burns, waiting to become light. The door to freedom was never locked. You were simply facing the wrong way. You were staring at your shadow, frightened of it instead of turning toward the sun. For so long you have been taught to run from your instincts, your passions, your body, your hunger, as if God lives somewhere else, far from the earth, untouched by it. But now you can see how false that is. The divine is not above you. It is within you. It is in your breath, in your blood, in the tremble of desire and the silence that follows it. Once you recognize that there is no division left between the sacred and the sensual, everything becomes a doorway. The eyes of your beloved, the song of the wind, the warmth of touch, all are gates through which you enter the infinite. This is the beauty of understanding. Nothing needs to be destroyed, only transformed. When you bring awareness to lust, it becomes love. When you bring awareness to love, it becomes prayer. And when awareness itself becomes complete, prayer dissolves into silence. That silence is the fragrance of truth, not the silence of emptiness, but a fullness of contentment, of total acceptance. Do not fight your nature. Understand it. Do not condemn your fire. Learn to see its light. The moment you see clearly, you realize that life has never been against you. You were against yourself because you believed in someone else's idea of purity, someone else's definition of holiness. Now you can throw all that away. Be innocent again. Let your love be simple. Your joy is spontaneous. Your silence deep. You are not a sinner. You are a seeker who lost the way because of fear. And now with awareness, you have found your path again. Every step you take in understanding brings you closer to your true home. The home that was never taken from you. The home you only forgot in your sleep. Wake up and you will see that the same energy that once dragged you into the darkness now carries you into the light.